It's the same assessment. So
It
the
is
same assessment tool
case
is,
dismissed.
so I get like a 17 or
But
above,
District
and I
Judge
get
of
17 below
Alabama.
the lowest.
But what he had to do.
That's hilarious. So you wouldn't do that, you don't go back.
Yeah, I'm messing.
How are you? Very well, how are you, sir? Good.
Did he die on the bench?
Yes.
Because we only want.
Make sure I'm not
And he's
right.
still not in
He's a good guy.
He's still picking his
It's the same, it's basically, it's slightly confusing.
I showed up to get the last continuous today to then bring it to
Which you're a guy.
the dude was
Yeah.
I was in a wedding. He remembered.
and I said, like,
He was
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive.
That's that.
He's just
he's
probably 70. He and I.
He's a little younger than the end result is
My wife said, I've never met a guy that talks so much.
Never should have happened.
That's no matter what else happens today, that would make my today.
Yeah, so but our aspiration is to actually have,
Put them back in different times.
yeah, and then actually
We heard
have
from Butch.
utilize, white level.
First one's yours, Judge.
Okay, well, it looks like we're at 1:30, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order of the meeting of the Court Service Advisory Board is hereby called to order. And right now, do we have anybody joining us virtually? So we don't have to do our virtual protocol here. All right, I think we do have to do a roll call. And so if you could please go ahead, Mr. Rabbit, start with
Bob
your
Ravitz.
Jim Anderson for Tommy Johnson.
Steve Huddleston, DA's office.
Brian Lund,
Kent Bridge.
Judge Stoner,
Rick Warren.
if Mr. Freeman's coming, we know. I think this bill is probably enough for a quorum though.
Yes.
So we have a quorum. First item on the agenda is approval of minutes from 3/17. So we include on the packet. Move approval. Second, there's been a motion made and second for this be approved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no opposition, so that motion will carry. So the minutes are approved. So departmental items, number 2, discussion of possible action regarding the day reporting center at North Care status. So I guess we have 2 reports here from March and April. Is anybody from North Care here on that? Okay. So I guess just the April reports. Is there a motion that we accept these reports? We don't have a one here.
Motion to accept.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made and second that we accept the reports for March and April. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those those reports will be accepted. And no one's here to discuss. Anybody here from North Care at all? Anyone's here from North Care? Okay. So number 3 on the agenda is discussion of possible action regarding the Oklahoma County Court Services Bureau monthly statistics report. March and April. I know.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, as usual, I'll go over a few of these numbers while you guys are looking at March and April. So March, looks like 46 qualified, 39 were approved, supervised 425, conditional bond 58 were presented to the judges with 42 approved and 223 supervised that month. And then for April, 66 qualified with 44 being approved, 424 supervised. Let's see, conditional bond 65 presented with 52 approved and 226 supervised.
Grant, on the GPS, the number on the right where it says 98, that's the total number that currently you're monitoring.
That's so the 98 is the number that have been approved for GPS, and then right below that, the 147 were the number that were actually being supervised
that are currently being supervised.
for the month, yeah.
Move to approve the report.
Motion's been made and seconded that most of these reports be approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No opposition, so it will be approved with questions from Mr. Billingsley. Okay, so discussion, item number 4, discussion of possible action regarding Oklahoma County Court Service judicial statistic report. I guess that's the chart there you're reading.
Yeah, that's the same numbers that are transferred over from the previous document that you looked at, which just shows the same number approved and then that were presented to the judges.
Motion to accept.
So the motion to accept the judicial reports, for a second on that.
Second.
The motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? No opposition, the reports will be accepted. Anything else for Mr. Billingsley? This is a section of the meeting where we have citizens' participation, or any citizens that want to address the advisory board on issues that relate to the court services and pretrial services. See no citizens' participation. Is there any board comments, any board members?
I want to say thanks to Grant and Robin for the court services staff helping us with shredding and destroying a bunch of surplus files from the public defender's office that saved an enormous amount of money from shredding just by using their existing resources. So thank y'all. It required a little bit of a mess in their office for a few days, so I appreciate their indulgence.
Was this like community service folks that were helping out with it?
No, it was my staff and theirs that worked together to get rid of, frankly, a fire hazard at Juvie, where they were otherwise forcibly having to store them in the hallways.
I'd like to recognize Brian. He steps up and does this for the last 7 years. He stepped up every time we need records or something done. Brian's always first on the job to get it done. So I appreciate you, Brian.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Obviously, I don't have a county budget to spend $3,000 to $5,000, which is what it costs to shred it. That's why we hadn't done anything. When the commissioner came by and told me that he'd be willing to do it, he stood up before for me out at Lincoln, which was probably about 5 times as much as you did there.
You gotta be careful getting your shredder, though. You'll sure wear it out for you.
Well, it's like a motion's been made and seconded. We recognize and appreciate Commissioner Vaughn. All in favor, appreciate it. Okay.
I really appreciate the court services staff.
Thank you.
All right. So board comments, any new business? There's no further board comments. New business, any new business relating to pretrial services office? Okay, seeing no new business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No opposed. This meeting of pretrial services, Court Services Advisory Board is hereby adjourned. So our next meeting is no health court. Okay.
I'll call the mental health court board advisory meeting in the session. Notice that the meeting was properly posted. Roll call.
Rick Warren.
Judge Stoner.
Ken Stentle on that board.
Okay, I'm sorry. Brian Lund.
Steve Huddleston.
Jim Anderson for Tommy Johnson.
Bob Rabbits, chair recognizes a quorum. Notice that the meeting was properly posted on May 10th. First item of business is discussion of possible approval to approve minutes of March 17th, 2022.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, there you go, Jenny. Next item is discussion of possible action regarding report on current AWOL. And, yeah, go ahead and do that one. And then, well, the chair is going to do 2, and Jenny does 3, the report, and then I'll do the 4 on the budget report.
So as March, we put in 16 new participants. April, we put in 7. May, we put in 10 so far. We have 349 participants in the court program. 236 of them are active. We do have about 45 in custody, and some of those are in Oklahoma County and some of those are in other counties. But we are working on release plans, treatments in there, working on housing, working on other places for them to go, not just releasing to the streets. We have a couple who are in on new charges, and some who are just picked up on being AWOL. We have 17 in inpatient. We have 6 currently in DOC IRF, and then 107 AWOL at this time.
Anybody have any questions?
I know this is a significant increase over, you've been with this program a long time right now, the 236 active participants. How big an increase is that over from like last year?
I don't have an
Did you
answer
go
to
just,
that right
I mean,
now.
it's about double the size.
Yes, we are growing very fast. I mean,
Yeah.
I have, for instance, we've put in this week, we did 2 pleas on Tuesday, 3 pleas yesterday, and I believe we have 1 or 2 pleas today. I have 6 people to interview in custody tomorrow, and that's not, I also have out of custody that I'm trying to get in to interview as well, and there's probably about 10 of those that I'm trying to get into my office.
Are you caught up on notifying Department of Mental Health or how many people we have in the program?
Department of Mental Health is aware that we are growing.
You might tell them it'd be really nice if they increased our money, or we're not gonna have money someday. Right now, we got a lot of money, but one of these days, we're not gonna have money
Absolutely.
to pay for the imaging testing. I don't understand why when we increase drug court, or if I get a decrease in drug court, I'll get a letter 2 months later saying your money's going down, but when we increase, we never get anything until the next year. It'd be nice. Maybe I need to suggest that to the director next time I see her.
I can also reach out and talk to them about that as well.
Because I thought it was based on the number of participants, that it was the same as drug court, but I'm not sure that's what we're getting.
How are you guys handling all this increase?
Well, our treatment providers are doing very well. North Care is our biggest provider right now. They have a pretty large team for mental health court. Hope is our smallest, but they're building, and then North Care is our middle. We're just doing the best we can right now. We're making sure all of our participants are getting the treatment that they need, that they're placed on drug testing. We're providing outside sources as well, because we have, a case manager from the Diversion Hub that's helping them come from the jail once they plead in, to make sure that they're seen by me, seen by DOC. I mean, we're just.
Do you have any, I'm just kind of curious if you have any insight into what is driving, is it, do we have just more people in mental health? Is a program that more defense attorneys are applying them in, or what? I mean, this is just, it's remarkable to see the growth in the last year.
Are you able to?
Anybody have any idea
I
what's
can tell
driving it?
We get applications in each week.
Okay.
And a couple of weeks ago, we sat down and we had 100 and a little over 100 applicants. 50 of those applicants was mental health court. And we're really averaging about 50 of the total amount of applicants are mental health applicants from drug court, vet court, re-merge, the rest of them. So
just applications are up.
Applications are up for mental health court. And so if you're letting in a certain percentage of people each month, and if half of your applicants are mental health court, then half the people getting in of that is going to be mental health court.
Is our drug arrest up as far as, is that number increasing too? As far as what's going on in the arrest with people involved in drugs that gets them into the courts in the first place?
Well, a drug arrest,
Involved in drugs?
yes, in Oklahoma County, that's true to a certain extent. You have a lot of cases now, misdemeanor cases, simple possession cases, that are being handled outside of Oklahoma City by municipal courts in Oklahoma County. Bethany, War Acres, Edmond, Midwest City, Del City are all taking those cases to municipal court. Oklahoma City, their policy is they will not take those cases. So if a person's arrested in Oklahoma City, then that's going to the county.
I don't know that they had that much effect. Usually mental health courts, is it mostly felonies or do you take some misdemeanors in here?
We take misdemeanors, yes, but I think the majority are felonies, but we do have misdemeanors as well.
DOC is dumping people after they get out of DOC in Oklahoma County. Right now, we've noticed that. I got a call from the sheriff, and this one guy got arrested for failure to register as a sex offender, and he is so mentally ill he can't even plead guilty. And he had zero connections with Oklahoma County. He's from rural Oklahoma, but when he got out, he somehow managed to be let go in Oklahoma County, and then nobody ever helped him register, and he's too mentally ill to register on his own. I'm hearing that we're seeing some of that. They're low-level cases that DA might put in the mental health court, but they probably shouldn't have been in Oklahoma County in the first place. So I think you're seeing some of that too.
Applications are up.
Applications are up, and you don't have the same statutory restrictions as you do in drug court and DUI court. You really don't, other than DA's policy, you don't have any statutory restrictions as people getting in mental health court.
Any other questions, Jenny?
Move to accept the report.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimously. Next item is discussion and possible action regarding mental health court budget. It's the last 1, 2, 3, 4 pages in the report. The first one is the general munis funds, which will end up being very little because we're only transferring money in when we need to make payments, because the auditor told us last year, I take that back, the legislation that was passed last year was that they were supposed to be in voucher accounts. So they're now in the 1284 account, which is the next 2 pages, which shows what we spent money on for mental health court this past year. And the majority of it is substance abuse fees for testing, and specifically travel. We paid for the Connexus, and we're now paying the Diversion Hub money for that case manager that was board approved last year. And if we could get an increase from Department of Mental Health, we'd probably hire another case manager. If this board approved it, that'd probably be the best utilization of our money. But with the amount of money that we're currently getting, we can barely fund the increase in drug testing and what we have. But if they have that, we might be able to do that. Any questions regarding that? Chair will entertain a motion to accept the report.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number 5 is office space. They're still on the 5th floor of the building. If obviously it's difficult with the amount of space that she has. Next item is discussion and possible action regarding implementation of, cloud-based software. Are you using that?
Yes, sir, we are using that. We're using that mostly for the communication of drug testing to the participants. We're also communicating through Connexus with participants with treatment, my office, probation, so we're using it,
So it's working pretty well.
yes.
Okay. And the bill was paid for next year, so we're in good shape for another year. Any other questions? Next item, discussion of possible action regarding creating a website and tracking system for all of Bahama County diversion programs. Judge, I don't think there's anything we can do right now because the district attorney has orally said that we can't use those funds, is that correct? We can,
Well, I thought that Judge Stoner kind of did a workaround and you got a website created.
Yeah, and we do have a website that's promoting and educating around the treatment court options. This is like the tracking. I think this issue though, this is a website and tracking system. So the website is live. It's not complete. I mean, we have right now at least you can go on there. There's information about the programs, and then there's also an application form. We have more work to do as far as building out program requirements and building in the different pages for other options. But as far as the tracking system, it seems like my memory was maybe should be stricken because they're. I would say that was good. You know that if you're in diversion court, it's supposed to be being put on OSCN. That's my understanding. That it's actually being put on OSCN, so any judge that wants to look and see what that is. But I don't know. Was there more to it than?
no, I think
It
that
was this
was
website and
combined.
tracking system are actually two different things, or are they
Yes.
supposed to be the same thing?
Yeah, it could have been the same thing, but as far as tracking, you can get on OSCN and see what you need to see, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
So I haven't had any complaints about that.
We probably gotta cross out the word tracking system and then just keep leaving it, creating a website for future. If we
So,
can.
yeah, we do, like, we have it up, it's like, OK County TC stands for treatment courts, .org.
It's a shame because the ideal part, where it should be, in addition to there, it'd be ideal if it was on the Oklahoma County website. I think it's on the Tulsa County
Or
website.
at least have a link from their site, so they can go to the county website to link to the site.
I think that was the issue in the first place. Isn't that right, Steve?
It is.
So,
Okay. Nothing he can do.
Well, thanks to Judge Stoner and I believe Sue Ann helped.
yeah, our own foundation,
Foundation helped pay for the website, so grateful.
we do have something,
Resource.
up, and we've now joined the 20th century. In terms of just educating people, that it's not complete, but at least there's a landing page, there's some interesting graphics. There's an application on there, and we're in the total process of building it out, but it looks good.
That's good. Any other questions? Last item is discussion and possible action regarding contracting with Diversion Hub. I'm just leaving that on, and if we get additional money from the department, I'll bring it back. Just leave it as an agenda item each month, or every other month. Last item, citizen participation. Any citizen wishing to participate. Board comments. Anyone have? Yeah, Commissioner.
We have Chelsea Barnett here with us from Commissioner Calvy's office.
We will be presenting a resolution on Monday, declaring May Drug Court Month. So that'll be on the DOCC agenda for Monday.
So any of you who want to come down there and celebrate, I'll give you a piece of paper.
We'll be there. I think we're using it as social media purposes and also just PR purposes.
When is that?
It's next Monday.
Monday at the Commissioner meeting.
Well, it's May. May is National Drug Court Month, but next Monday is the recognition of
Yeah,
by the county.
so start celebrating if you haven't already.
Have you put up a tree or put up a tree?
I'll put whatever you want me to put up. You'll promise me there won't be any protesters down there?
No promises.
This is It should be a non-controversial event, I hope.
I didn't know we had that. Any other comments?
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item is the record regular meeting. First item is roll call.
Rick Warren?
Ken Stoner.
Brian Martin.
Steve Huddleston.
Jim Anderson, Tommy Johnson.
Bob Ravitz. First item is discussion of possible action to approve the minutes of March 17th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Discussion and possible action regarding drug court statistical report.
We do have a English fiscal report. This is Ms. Christina Mendoza, she's our care coordinator. Of course, Madison.
Oh, Christina, this is her
This
first
is my
time.
first time, bear with me. Okay, so, we have active participants in the program right now, 391. We have 13 males and 3 females in IRF at this time. We have 6 males and 4 females at First Step. Right now we have 125 AWOL. Our graduation rate is 83.3%. We've had 48 graduates so far in 2022, 17 revocations, which carried over from the previous years. Percent that's unemployed at entry, 37.5, graduation, 2.5%, with a 93.4% change in employment. Income from employment changed 68.1%. Percentage of participants without a high school diploma or GED at entry was 22.8, graduation is 4.9, with a 78.4% increase. Percent of children living with participants at entry was 9%, at graduation is 90.1%, with an 899% increase. We've got new stuff coming up. We are working on a BJA grant that's going to request funding to enhance our treatment courts. It'll enable us to develop multi-tracks that are matched risk need profiles and differentiate DUI and drug court. Increase the number of participants, enhance culturally specific treatment resources, increase the availability of access to translation for language minority participants, expand tribal partnerships, and increase accessibility for poor and rural participants. Dr. Chad Rohde is a senior research associate in NPC Research. He's been hired to help research and write that grant for us. Equity inclusion, legal interns are going to insist.
My Chad works with NPC, and so the money, the Arnall Family Foundation gave us the grant to hire NPC and increased their grant amount to include paying for his services.
So they're gonna pay him
Yeah.
directly?
Yes. I think so.
Or are they gonna give it to the
go the
drug?
same way.
I don't know.
Well, the other way they paid the drug court though, right?
I think it will be that way.
So the money will go into the county account and then we'll pay him.
Yes, just like we're paying NPC every month, so it'll be on our monthly statement from NPC. This way we've been paying them.
When are we gonna get the money from the Arnell Foundation to, because I'm real uncomfortable. We pledged 40, I don't wanna, I mean, once we get the money, but to pay, if they're increasing what they're supposed to be billing us.
It's in the works, and we haven't drawn out all $40,000 for NPC, so Sue-Ann approved the added expense for his services. So I think the money will be coming first to the Communities Foundation, and then the Communities Foundation will write a check to the county.
Miss Brown, Tina Brown, which is their Arnold Foundation is their kind of their criminal justice director, came down and actually, we had a site visit last week from Dr. Macklin from NP Research. So they've been coming in and meeting, and they've been involved in correspondence with the consultants as well. So that's something that we do need to get checked.
Well, when the 40,000 runs out, they're not gonna get it more.
I
Well-
think we've only paid him about $400 so far, so we have plenty of extra
Yeah,
in
it's all.
waiting on the extra to come in to pay him.
Right, I understand that, but if the money doesn't come in, if only 40,000 comes in, that's all that's going out. So they need to understand that, the consultants, that we don't have the full amount of money in the account at this particular time. In other words, if they came in and billed us for the full amount next month, including this doctor who's writing the grant, we couldn't pay it. We wouldn't pay it.
But we have a commitment from Sue Ann that she is sending the money to Communities Foundation. It just had to go through the May grant cycle disbursement.
As long as the
Yeah, the
grant people understand they're not gonna get paid if Sue Ann changes her mind.
Understood.
Okay.
This is an opportunity to leverage about $40,000 into $750,000. We're applying for $750,000. And so this really could be, I mean, we gotta cross our fingers, it's not done to, you know, but this could be huge for our program.
Right, but we couldn't use any of that $750,000 to pay the person who
No.
wrote the grant. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
those grants are real specific, and if you don't spend it for what is detailed in the grant application.
I just making a comment on the merits of what this is, and so it's.
No, I think it's a great idea. If we get the money, it would really be helpful. It's just a question of, but I'm fine with that. I just didn't know that, I mean, I thought the contract was between he and Sue Ann and not through the Community Foundation. I guess there's no contract right now
The contract with NPC is with the drug court board.
for $40,000.
Yes, and this was a supplement with no contract, just, I mean, it's part of their services. No signed contract.
Right, so in other words, they understand that if no other money comes in, they're getting $40,000.
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
Equity and inclusion, there's gonna be legal interns this summer that's gonna help us, work together to get all of our numbers straight and see what we need to work on there. We're making sure our program has no implicit bias or systematic bias. Like Judge Stoner said, Juliet Macklin was here last week, consulting on the program to see what we need to do to be able to expand. The BOCC meeting is Monday as a proclamation recognizing May as National Drug Court Month. We will all be there. Arnell Family Foundation is assisting with social media campaign. That's going to increase awareness in our community concerning treatment courts, potentially acquire partnerships, wrap around decrease fundraising. We have a partnership with Peaceful Family Solutions. They came out and met with us last Friday. We are going to be trying to get our participants back in there within phase 4 for aftercare. It helps with children find hope and healing. Children in homes where substance abuse exists and are 8 times more likely to repeat the cycle. So we're trying to stop that cycle.
Great. Anybody have any questions?
And I want to comment here about revocations. 17 people that revoked the program these are all I would say almost all of them are either people, they run away and they commit the crimes. And they come back in the program after being AWOL with extra charges. You mostly are either drug court eligible or they actually really don't have any interest in the program. So these are actually 17 people that we've decided we're giving up on you, we're kicking you out. These are people that kept running away, and when they've been rearrested, they come back in with new charges. And so you're aware, I mean, occasionally you have, that's what most of these 17 are. So, is that fair to say?
Is there a way you could break it down on revocations with new charges, so we can see? Because I think what it will show is that very few people who don't get the new charges get revoked.
That's true, yeah. I think we just started reporting this number this time. We don't, in general, I just show the revocation, but we wanted to do that. But I just wanted this board to be aware. I'm trying to think from my memory of somebody that doesn't fit that category, but that's, nobody's really coming to mind. There are some people that just say, I don't want to do this. Okay, you're revoking the program. I'm done, I'm giving up. And it's usually after they've been rearrested for being AWOL about 3 or 4 times, and say, yeah, this isn't for me. But that's your category. People keep running away, or people that keep committing new crimes. That'd be 100%.
The exception may be people who were AWOL for such a length of time that when they pled in only on simple possession. That was a felony with no new case, but the DA's office has been very generous in re-looking at what the offer was when they're terminated from the program, to not include jail and prison.
Any other questions on that? Any other comments? Sure, entertain a motion to accept the report.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Discussion and possible action regarding use of necessary office space for drug court and mental health court. Still same thing, only difference is they did have if I didn't tell you, there is a door on that door now, right?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, good. Next item is discussion and possible action regarding future disposition of closed drug court files. Sometime this summer, we'd like you to get with Mr. Warren and see the files that are over in his warehouse that can be shredded. I think once you identify those, if you tell me, I'll get with Commissioner Mond and we'll try to do the same shredding that we did before, because there's no need to keep them past the deadlines. You all have to make those decisions. I don't want to go in, nor does Rick, to try to figure out which ones should be shredded and which ones don't have to be.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Just figure it out sometime this summer, probably week when Judge Stoner's on vacation. Next item is discussion possible action regarding report on current AWOL. She already did that. Discussion and possible action regarding drug court budget report, and you have that. That should be pages 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3 are munis, which is the county deal, which obviously, again, we're trying to keep as little money as possible in there, because we were told that the state passed the deal that they wanted in a voucher account, all the monies. It shows what our current balance is and the expenditures that have been done this year. Any questions with regards to that? And I think if once we get the contract for this year, we ought to look at possibly, I don't know if it's still an Alfred issue, who you want to contract with the Diversion Hub or somebody else, but I think if you'd like an assistant in drug court similar to what we're doing in mental health court, Judge, I think we could probably afford it with the money we currently have, which might help you out a little bit.
You need help, we can continue that conversation. But part of the resource in here too, goes for some technology. We're trying to get some technology, some laptops, and also we're looking at putting a monitor in the courtroom.
Just tell Donna you need the laptops, and they'll be ordered.
Well, it seems like it's supposed to work that way, but, I know we've had an issue with that, but we've been asking Don about getting it done, and it's just kind of falling through.
Why don't
the
you
cracks,
just
so
have Madison see me? We can,
I
they're,
think we
they're on-
CC you on the correspondence.
yeah, if you CC me on the correspondence, okay. You tell me how many laptops you want, I'll just call. Cause I mean, we buy them through county MIS on contract, it's real simple.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think she reads her emails like she should. But I do, I read unfortunately every one of them, that's why it takes so long.
Bob, our new coordinator, David Gilbert, that we hired, this is one thing I just asked him as a program coordinator to just get more familiar with money in, money out, the DMH contracts, are we getting everything that we're supposed to be getting, and understanding about, there's certain line items on here, I'm always kind of scratching my head, how does that work? I just asked him, as part of his role, to become more fluent with the finances, so we have more than a couple people that know, so he may be at some point asking to meet with you, or
That's fine.
just tracking down we have a couple different brains on here that are focused on this.
Well, and then once the money is basically moved into the user fee account, you'll be able to see where every dime goes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, you can see that, but you have to go through Munis, then it has to give you a printout and whatever. Any question? Oh, and then the next, we had a donation account, and that was a $450 donation from Mr. Savage. I think he had something with the DA's office.
So he actually wanted to make a contribution for food for the Christmas party. That's kind of what he made that for. And then we ended up at the same time, the last minute, the Frontline Church came up with the food money for us, and so we just put that in the general donation fund. So that's what he was being generous. I was actually talking to some of the other judges about what we were doing the program. They wanted to help out with the Christmas party. We buy food. We invite all our participants and have a little celebration. That was just a contribution that was meant towards that, and that's where it came. I guess in the 45 is that from Suyan, that's from the Arnold Foundation.
Right, that's the Arnold Foundation.
All right.
Anybody have any questions? Chair will entertain a motion to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is discussion and possible action regarding the cloud base. We're still using that in drug court, is that correct, Judge?
That's correct, yeah.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Nothing to add.
Citizen participation, board comments, anyone have any comment?
I just had a short comment, I talked to the board before, but our overall strategy here, we've identified somewhere in the neighborhood of about 200 people a year that we think should be in drug court, and for some reason they're not, they go to prison anyway, so we have, that's part of this retainer from this, working with a consultant, is figure out how do we strengthen and expand the program. So if we went from 391, we're at 400, we actually built the program to 600 people, where we think Oklahoma County ought to be. If we had an optimal number, remember at a CJEC meeting, I think you were there, Clay Bennett says, how big should your program be? And I think our answer is we should, if we were getting everybody we're supposed to, should be around 600. But to have a strategy of how we're going to get there, if we were to do that, we actually have been working with the DA's office around revocations and DOC around even parole revocations to bring them into a treatment court program. We would collapse under the weight of it because we don't have a system set up to handle that many people. And so I just want this board to be aware over the next year and a half to 2 years, we're trying to figure out how do we strengthen and expand this program to where it ought to be. So that's part of what this NPC research and the strategy. And so I anticipate we're going to have a report probably 6 months from now that this board will show us that here's kind of a strategic plan for our program in the coming years. That's what this is hopefully going to be about.
Some of the stuff you're going to actually, the coordinator is going to be reporting if that bill passes I think it's passed both houses now, has to be signed by the governor, and there's a bunch of stuff requiring why somebody wasn't put in drug court.
I haven't seen that, but that is something, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I've been communicating with the governor's office today on, the governor's wanting input on this pending drug court bill. And there is a pending bill right now from Senator Thompson that will really change the way drug courts work. And all of a sudden, we're gonna have the ability to have violent offenders in there. And when I'm saying violent offenders, I'm not talking about Ted Bundy, I'm talking about, neighbors getting in an argument over alcohol related, squabbles and stuff. That will fundamentally change our program here, and that has nothing to do with the people that we're not getting right now on property crimes. And so we could be sitting down 2 months from now, really having to rethink how all this works anyway. Because right now the legislation it looks like it's going to pull the DA out of the role as the gatekeeper.
Didn't do it.
They didn't do it. That's the last.
The one I read yesterday did not, well, it's ambiguous, but, okay. I mean, I think you can make an argument, but it looks like the DA has some type of veto power on it. But I believe, in all honesty, it's totally.
Well, it will, right now, as Mr. Huddleston's saying, one reason mental health court is expanding is because these people might actually be really good for a diversion program, like a treatment court, but since drug court has these restrictions on you can't take certain type of offenses, some of that may be removed. And so it could be very different at our next meeting and trying to figure out how do we do this.
Does this legislation change who can go into community service? It's not.
Change what?
Does it change who can go into community service? Like if you're saying, is it going, those same things going to make them eligible for Shine now that didn't used to be?
It might. I mean, it might. Well, so some of our participants right now, the way it's structured is that there's certain offenses that just aren't eligible. These are your, murders and robbers and all that. Now, some of these people, if they're in the program, but you have to understand, like that, the reason they're doing it is that some things, what looks like a violent offense on the surface, when you pull back the layers of it, if you had a panhandler say, Ms. Monk, you give me $5 and you pulled it out, and you had a 20 and you grabbed it right away from you, that's robbery in the second degree. And it's a violent offense, but it's also an alcohol and drug related kind of offense, and it's sort of maybe an appropriate candidate for somebody who's in a treatment court. But right now they wouldn't. But if that legislation passes, we're going to now have a mix of people in the program that are appropriate for diversion that might have a violent offense.
We probably, what we need to do, if it does pass, is next year, we need to run a bill that says, instead of trying to just so that people can get into community service and Shine, if they, unless they're prohibited under the drug court statute or something, so we can catch them that way, which would be a good idea. I have to compare who's permitted and who's not to make sure it's worthwhile, but I'll let you know on that.
Thank you.
And it did change. The county is not going to be responsible for the program. It's ambiguous again, so we'll be doing it the same way we're doing unless the board wants to change something. So that was nice. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Veterans Treatment Court Advisory Board minutes meeting. First item is roll call. I'm sorry,
Rick Warren.
Ken Stoner.
Brian Mon.
Steve Huddleston.
Jim Anderson, Tommy Brown.
Bob Rabbits. Notice was properly posted. First item is discussion of possible action regarding minutes of December 2nd and January 13th. I'm sorry, approval of minutes.
Approval.
Chair, entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Discussion regarding program status report from Coordinator Kyle.
Good afternoon, everyone. See, as of 5/10, we have added one veteran since our last report. We have 51 total participants in BTC, 44 of which are active in the program. We have 3 currently in residential treatment. one on a mental health hold at the VA. We have one participant out at First Step and 3 participants at AWOL. We have graduated 3 veterans since our last report here, and we have 44 participants who are actively testing with CRG. I've asked the VA to start compiling the numbers of those veterans who have come into our program. If we've gotten them connected with services there, if we've got them a rate increase, what that rate increase is, and they'll also start reporting that out. And we'll have that for the next report.
Have you had any contacts with DMH regarding the program and making sure that we're in compliance with the grant itself?
I have not.
Okay. I don't know what, because the grant only has 1 more year, and I don't know what is required of us when the grant is terminated. And we probably need to start preparing whatever data we required. And maybe we're not required of anything, but I think we are.
I know that the judge had typed in the email that he had reached out to Ms. Westcott over at ODMH and just kind of feeling out what we need to do to go ahead and be ready for that next grant.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna, the DMH might be able to fund us kind of similar to the drug court, which is gonna be about $900 per participant per year, but even then, if they were to do that, we're only have about half of what we would need to operate the program at the current level. So, but the DMH reports that there are what they call enhancement grants. So we kind of come up with an idea of way to enhance our program, offer additional services to our veterans. And we could probably qualify for a kind of enhancement grant that would still keep a lot of the same funding in place for that. Now it's going to be, we're going to have to go through this cycle probably this fall and this spring to work on that grant. Those are just, grants is a ton of work. So we got to figure out how to get that done. But we're working on a strategy, but we don't have a really clear path yet.
Okay, it's just important that if the federal grant required certain things to end it out, we've got to at least be able to give that the account.
I see what you're saying.
I apologize, I don't mean to interrupt. The biggest thing that I'm seeing right now with the grant that we applied and received is we're supposed to be serving 75 veterans. That's kind of the biggest issue that I'm seeing in meeting those grant requirements right now.
Is that servicing 75, or if we graduate people, or is that included?
I'll have to check. I didn't realize that we had had a graduation, and I don't know if those numbers compile or if it's having 75 active members in the grant at one time.
Does the anybody in the vet diversion program?
No.
That
This
wouldn't.
is strictly vest treatment.
It would make no sense, though, if you get a 3-year grant for a program that when it expired, you had to have 75 people in it, because then you'd have 75 people who didn't have anything.
Well, I think whenever we applied for the grant, we had to kind of make some projections of what kinds of estimates on what we thought that our capacity would be. So they kind of funded us on this idea that we thought we could get, and we understood everybody really that because every time we meet, we have a little bit more. The first time we met, we had 12, and then we had 20, and then we had 30, and now we're up to 50. And I think by the time, we very well could, because since these are 18 to 24 month long programs, or even longer, sometimes just to ramp up. I think we are still probably maybe a little short of what we originally projected. But I don't know the question is, what does that mean if we're not? Does that mean we're not in? We wouldn't be eligible for a good enhancement grant, or we just?
We would have to check if we eligibility in the future, and also if we would have to pay back any money because we didn't meet those grant requirements.
We'll just follow up with DMH on where this might be material compliance, but then also we still have a whole other year to get to that number.
That's why I think
you're
the
doing interviews today, right? You did an interview yesterday, and
that's why I think the graduates have to be counted in that number. It wouldn't make any sense not to. Right?
I don't know.
But we need to know that answer because it would affect how we apportion the money come January. Okay, any other questions? Chair, I'll entertain a motion to accept it.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Discussion and possible action, creating account and sub-accounts at county to hold funds designated for the program. It's the last page of your report is we have, Veterans Treatment Court Fund, which is through the county now. And the requirements were that the public defender and the DA would get reimbursed. The DA would get additional money to cover most of Kyle's, but not all of his salary and benefits. And there was a requirement that we at least send 4 people to the national conference. Was it 4? I might want to check that, but we did that, and we are in the process of getting ready to do that again. Additionally, we pay for some drug testing. Any questions regarding the funds? Okay, that probably needs to change discussion of policy regarding, instead of creating just discussion of possible action regarding veteran treatment fund accounts.
Part of that was making sure we were trying to create an account, so when they have, whenever veterans borrow money to be able to pay for their UAs, they have a way to pay it back. And I believe now they got that set up, but there's at least an account now where they can go back and pay that money back. Because we have to, when we extend an IOU credit, they gotta pay it back. We've had a lot of friction just opening an account that would, so we can collect a user fee and or the reimbursement for IOUs. And so that's my understanding that we've done that now.
Yes.
Before, so I don't know, can that be stricken all together? This item number 3.
When did you talk to the county about it?
I talked to Bush Freeman. We've got it all set up.
So it's ready to go.
We're using it.
We're using it right now.
So the county's cleaning up. The issue is the state can't have there was no authorization for the state to be able to accept those funds. But
Right.
the county, so there's no provision of the county accepting the funds. So the county has an account.
Butch Freeman.
Butch Freeman's account. Yes, so Butch Freeman is accepting the funds.
Is he putting it in this account?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because there's no deposits in the account yet, but that was only through April 26th.
Yeah, I think when was the first?
I want to say it started the last week of April.
Yeah.
We're solid on that,
But we've got the procedure all set up with the help of Butch.
Are you keeping track of how much money?
the bookkeepers are sending me a weekly report on who has come down and who has deposited. Pretty much the process is I'll have a veteran come in, they'll tell me what they have to pay back. I will send the bookkeepers an email detailing who it is, how much, form of payment, and then they will create a miscellaneous receipt, have it waiting for them as they go down there to actually hand it over whatever form of payment.
Well, and you're giving IOUs out like you're doing in drug court?
Yeah, so we had,
Yeah, we can do our.
that's what we've been doing, and we had no way to have them pay back. That was the issue. The other issue we don't have, the program requires payment of user fees, but we don't have any way to collect user fees. So, but at least now we can pay back the IOUs. We've got that part. Steve's helped get that set up with Freeman's office. The user fee part of it is, we figure out it'd be somewhere near about $12,000 a year. A drug court statute authorized collection of user fees, but there's nothing that says, there's no statutory authorization around the Veterans Court. And my argument is it's a quasi drug court, it doesn't apply, so they don't have a way to collect those. The state does. They can't set up a sub account at OSCN, which Rick Warren's office manages. So there's no provision against the county doing it, but then setting up a system for the county to do it. We haven't done it for user fees, but it's really not quite.
I thought this money was gonna go for veterans who this account was gonna go for veterans who wanted to contribute additional money or give donations. Is that not the case?
No, we talked about it. It was a deal about, the IOUs. Which account could we deposit the money? Because our veterans are a little bit different than some of these other diversions. They actually have the money to pay back their IOUs. But we had no way to deposit that. And that's what,
Yes, yeah.
the situation was, sit down with Butch. He had the account, went down and talked to Butch about it, set up the procedure.
Do you have any idea how much is outstanding or how much is paid in any one, I mean, how many IOUs are given in any one month?
In any one month, it's about 33.
33,
$10 a piece.
so about $330.
Yes.
That's not, okay, we have money, we can cover that.
Over, of course, a year that ends up being about, what, $4,000?
Yeah, but you're gonna get it all back. Or
Yeah,
most of it.
now we have a way to do that. We still have a way to collect user fees though.
Okay. Any other questions? Citizen participation, board comments, new business? Yeah,
Clarification, on number 3, are we striking that from the next agendas? As Judge Stoner suggested?
I mean, we do now have a sub-account for, I don't know what your thought is on having, we still need an account for collecting user fees, but we don't need one for IOUs, so, but I don't know, I'm not.
How about changing
Regarding creating an account to collect user fees.
discussion and possible action regarding veteran court budget report? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Veteran court budget report? And then no action on 4?
That's correct.
Sorry, continue.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.